Hello fans from the Wheelchair Gang, Tharries here, and welcome back to another Doctor Who Series 13 leak video. Now, it's been a hot minute since I did one of these, and there's been a lot of leaks since I did the last one of these, so what I'm going to be doing is these so-called leak sandwiches, where I essentially cover multiple leaks in one video. But before we get into the leaks, if you could just do me a teeny tiny little favour and click that subscribe button. We are trying to get to 10k by the end of the year, and I would absolutely love it if we could get there. But with that said, let's get into the leaks. The first one is a short one, and it's called Really Random Bits of Information About Doctor Who. Even though it's basically confirmed already, Series 13 will air on October 31st, 2021, which, for those of you in the know, is in fact Halloween. Now, I'm going to be honest, Doctor Who airing in Halloween I actually think is a really good idea. Doctor Who's first episode premiering on Halloween. It's the perfect time for Doctor Who to premiere a show about monsters and aliens and stuff like that. It just fits perfectly into the Halloween season, and I think it makes total sense to start a series on Halloween. Obviously, we had the BBC America early press release say fall, and this would technically fall under fall. Obviously, it would be a bit towards the end of fall, but it would still come under fall. And the second is the company that makes scarves and socks for Doctor Who have been asked to do more for the next Doctor. So no, Doctor Who isn't being cancelled. That's a very small little taste of a leak. And obviously, because it's not giving away too much, it does make it sound more credible. Like, the idea of them being commissioned to do scarves and socks for the next Doctor, I can totally believe. You know, merch companies have to be told in advance, and if we are getting a new Doctor as early as next year, it would make sense that they were being prepped for that, I suppose. The second leak is Sally Wainwright and Series 14 info. So this is carrying on the Sally Wainwright rumour as started by Councillor Geeks. This is some more information about that supposed leak. My contact at the BBC has been very quiet on any info at all for the new showrunner at Doctor Who. Originally, back in early 2020, P. McTeague was the secured name. Now my contact is saying things have changed. I asked about Sally Wainwright, and he said no comment. With this discreet behaviour, it's very likely that Wainwright has the position, especially since it's the BBC themselves that are allocating the showrunner. Sally is their pride and joy. After penning Last Tango in Halifax and Gentleman Jack, she herself admitted in an interview a year ago, 11 minutes and 30 seconds, that she could write sci-fi, but it would be down-to-earth sci-fi. Therefore, perhaps she was hinting at a move to the genre. I'll play a clip from that interview here.
I remember right from starting to write, you know, trying to be more serious about writing in my sort of late teens, I became very conscious of the fact that I could only write things if they felt they were part of the real world somehow. I don't think I could write. I could write sci-fi, but it would be very down to earth sci-fi.
Real sci-fi.
Yeah.
The 60th anniversary will not happen. My contact made that very clear. The BBC centenary special of Doctor Who is a multi-Doctor story and designed to act as a replacement for the 60th. That's one of the things he was very open with. The 14th series of Doctor Who will not air in 2024. That's all I've been told. Fire any questions away, but unfortunately I genuinely don't know if I'll get any answers. Okay, so there's a couple of interesting things here. Obviously the idea of Sally Wainwright being the next showrunner, it's not an unheard of concept. As I said, you know, the rumour initially came from Councillor Geeks, and some people just seem to be running with that idea. As I've said before, I would be sceptical but more than willing to give her a chance, and if she said that she'd be down to write more down-to-earth sci-fi, what I assume she means by that is more RTD than Stephen Moffat, in that, you know, they focus more on the domestic side of science fiction rather than necessarily the big space operas, which works for Doctor Who. It's one of those things, I think, why the RTD era was so successful, and I think perhaps it could work really well if done correctly again. I love the anniversary specials. They're some of my favourite parts of being a fan. Not necessarily episodes themselves, but just the build-up to them and the excitement of, oh my god, these Doctors meeting this Doctor. And we'd still get that to a point if the centenary was a multi-Doctor special. But I just think the anniversaries, there's just a special magic around them that I don't think it'd be replicated in the form of a centenary special. I'd also like to say that I don't think it's fair on Jodie, as much as I have issues with the Incarnation, for her last story to revolve around other Doctors. I think that's kind of unfair on her, especially seeing as in other parts of the brand, in things like Big Finish and the comics and even in the games, the 10th Doctor has kind of been so present and frequently bundled in with 13 in different merchandising things, I think to do that in her final story would kind of be emblematic of that entire issue from this era. In fact, a while ago I made an entire video on the BBC's over-reliance on the 10th Doctor when it comes to Doctor Who. I'd highly suggest you watch that if you haven't already. As for the 14th series not airing in 2024, I'd have to assume that that means that it would air either in 2023 or 2025. I don't think they'd wait as long as to make it in 2025. Maybe 2023, because that would also sort of act as something to commemorate the 60th anniversary. You know, a big new start to show that this show is still going strong 60 years later sort of thing. That would be great for marketing. But yeah, this one seems fairly believable, although it doesn't give away much. That's the thing. I think they're more believable when they don't say a lot, whereas when they say a lot, they become a bit less believable. But going into the final one, this one is titled Doctor Who Specials News, Jodies Regeneration, Morbius Doctor's Return, Dan and Yaz Betray 13, which I'm not gonna lie, sounds like one of my titles. Hello, my name is Michael, and I am the son of a set designer on Doctor Who, and have heard some information I probably shouldn't have heard. But it's very intriguing. Don't take any of it seriously, because unfortunately I can't confirm the legitimacy of the claims I have heard, but I still thought I'd share them if they do turn out to be true. So we all know there will be specials leading into Jodies Regeneration, and like Series 13, these are going to be one big story spread across the year, leading to the climactic events of Jodies Regeneration. I have heard that they will take a more classic approach with the regeneration, having old Doctors pop up before she regenerates, such as McGann, Tennant, and even Tom Baker. They won't stick to the normal regeneration effect used time and time again in New Who. That's something I've actually been an advocate for quite some time, a move away from the more yellow, glowy regeneration into something a bit more unique. I understand that it allows for brand uniformity, but personally for me, I want to see some more creative regenerations. Now to the juicy stuff. Let's start off with Yaz and Dan's betrayal. Now in the trailer we see that Yaz is obviously aware that 13 is hiding something from her. This is important because 13 and Yaz actually have a relationship, and that is started at the end of Series 13. Oh no. They're not going to do a Thasmin, are they? Please, I'm sorry. I don't really like the Doctor being involved in any sexual relationship, regardless of the gender. It doesn't matter. It's just, I don't like it. I didn't like it with Ten and Rose. I'm probably not going to like it here. I just think it's going to feel really forced and tacked on, especially if 13 reciprocates, because 13 just feels so against that form of relationship, her character. That's one of the only consistent things about her character, is that she doesn't really want a relationship with anybody, so the idea of tacking one on in these specials is something I'm not a fan of. I can understand Yaz having those feelings, but my point is that I don't wish for the Doctor to reciprocate them. A bit like Ten and Rose, when Yaz finds out about 13's secret, she is not happy, and she teams up with Dan to take her down. That's a bit of a jump, but okay. As Dan actually turns out to be evil in the second special cliffhanger, this eventually leads to 13's regeneration, which is triggered in an epic fight with, you guessed it, Morbius. But the Doctor is also aided by the Master in this battle, forming a redemption arc similar to Missy's. Okay, so they're bringing Morbius into this, which is a very weird choice. However, I guess it was foreshadowed in The Timeless Children. I'm not gonna lie, this does feel a bit fanficky to me. However, so does the Timeless Children arc as a whole, so I mean, anything goes at this point. This return of Morbius also explains the Morbius Doctors in more detail, which is still in discussion on how that will be done. Still in discussion, aren't they filming it, now? It's the Doctor's history, and they don't want to fiddle with it too much. I think it's kind of a bit too late for that. You can't do the Timeless Child and be like, oh, but we still don't want to fiddle with the lore too much. The cat's already out the bag, you know what I mean? There is one more piece of information that I know, and that is that the Master is actually set to be a full-term companion after Jodie leaves. It will stay as Sacha Dhawan, which I'm grateful for, but he won't be fully good, and will still have evil tropes and can't be trusted. That's what to come, and I'm extremely excited for this. Okay, so the idea of the Master being a quasi-companion is something that we haven't really seen before, with the exception of Scream of the Shulker, where a robot version of the Master is kind of an unwilling companion to the Doctor in that animated story. And I'd like that idea, but personally I can't see it being the case with a new showrunner coming in, why they would want to carry over someone else's Master. I don't see that happening. But let me know what you guys think about all these leaks in the comments below. Subscribe if you enjoyed, like if you're new, and I will see you later.